Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packer Universe podcast. We're a Green Bay Packers fan podcast that brings you topical and relevant Packers news, along with their most humble subjective opinions. This is episode 243. We're recording this on a Wednesday, October 18th, 2023. The Packers lose to the Raiders on Monday Night Football in Las Vegas in Week 5, and hope Lombardi on high that they won their bye week because it's Broncos time, and they head to Denver this Sunday afternoon in a battle to decide the fates of lesser teams. I'm your host, Tay, and joining me on the comlink tonight is our one and only Ren.
Yeah, what up, Tay? I mean, good intro. I mean... Talking about lesser teams today, you got a couple battling for any idea of what they are. I think the Broncos pretty much know what they are, and that is a very, very bad football team. To the point where this thing is going to get torn down. My guess would be at the end of the season. So, yeah, one young team trying to find themselves, another team that's been middling for a number of years since their Super Bowl win with Peyton Manning, and no playoff berths since then, and just trying to find what can or cannot work. And certainly with the big Russell Wilson acquisition a year ago, it's not working, and definitely is holding that franchise back. And it's going to be probably a pretty different team when we get to the 2024 season, but
sure. But don't you think that maybe Peyton out there gets a little bit of a grace period to turn things around, or you think that maybe he's on a short leash, and for sure Russell Wilson is, but they gave a whole hell of a lot to get him, and I don't know if they just cut their losses and run on that one, or they kind of waited out. What do you think? There's any kind of like, you know, I guess like short leashes or, time to change over there in Denver?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, Sean Payton pretty much put foot in mouth in the start of the off season with the whole, our old friend Nathaniel Hackett, and how poorly coached of a job he did. And I think Nathaniel maybe was a little bit over his skis, getting his first head coaching job there in Denver and only getting a year. That being said, Sean, we know he put all that stuff out there in the offseason, and it's really bit him in the ass there. Let's be honest. He's been as bad, if not worse, than what the Nathaniel Hackett team was. And this team, they paid draft picks to bring in this head coach. They paid draft picks
to
bring in Russell Wilson. I mean, they're in a pretty desperate position with regard to any draft capital for the next few years to try to get this thing right. This is a really, really big, struggling football team in the big scheme of where they want to go and where they're going to get to in the next 5 years. And they put themselves behind the eight ball. They've got some new ownership there over the last 2 years, and it's not good if you're a Denver fan. It's real, real bad. I mean, Green Bay, we obviously ushered out a future Hall of Famer, and at this point, has it totally worked out? I wouldn't say it has. Clearly the future Hall of Famer is, still not playing with an Achilles issue. But, people out in New York think this guy is walking on water today because he is maybe said to come back week 15. One of the fastest guys from this injury ever. I know Mike Greenberg, ESPN guy, believes it's going to happen, and many other people do. Aaron Rodgers out on the field prior to their matchup this past weekend. No crutches, throwing footballs,
which is unprecedented. Apparently,
it is. But the faithful in New York are like, man, this guy is just he's an anomaly. But that said, we can maybe get into some Aaron Charles talk to end this thing, because it is an interesting piece, and I definitely want your opinion and feels on that. But the Packers have had a couple weeks here today, and they did have the extended bye going into Vegas, and it did not turn out as it should have against a really bad football team. We talked kind of ad nauseum about, it was two football teams that who's going to win? Who wants to win? You want to win? We want to win? Let's see what happens. I mean, you talked about two really bad football teams. The Packers should have played a lot better if they have any inkling about moving forward, progressing together as a young football team, and they didn't do that. And it was a serious disappointment. One of the big talking points, and I mentioned to you, in the first take, it was going to be 2 weeks of this Jordan Love thing might not be the thing, Tay. And that really has been, and I said it wouldn't be all warranted, but it was going to come. And that was generally the talking points. I don't know how much, football talk you listen to in the state, but I listen to it every day. And it is certainly, and has been, the biggest talking point with that week off, with their bye. That, you look at the completion percentages with Jordan Love, his inability to do things. The offense is just, let's be honest, pretty pathetic, Tay. And some of that is on Matt LaFleur, the play calling. It's been a pretty ugly project here through the first 5 weeks with the Jordan Love era. The first 2 weeks looked kind of decent. You had that shellacking of the Bears. You had 3 good quarters against the Falcons, and then pretty much terrible football. Yes, there was one quarter they won a game and put up 18 points in the fourth quarter
against the Saints. Yeah,
but outside of that, Tay, it's gotten pretty ugly, pretty bad, pretty inefficient, and they haven't been able to really muster anything from an offensive standpoint over the last 3 weeks of the season. And now you have a bye week in between. So yeah, the voices were going to get pretty loud, and they did, because Jordan Love, listen to his completion percentage, his inability to move this team down the field has been something that should be called into question. Did they pick the right guy? Is he ready for prime time? I'm not so sure. How about you?
I feel like you're buying into this, Ren. You might be eating what the local media or all the sports talk is giving you here. I'll circle around to that a little bit, but this team, I think, was and us fans in Packer Universe, I think got off on the wrong foot when we got to watch that team against the Bears in week 1. I think that probably wasn't the best matchup to give us first, because at first we're like, hey, wow, this might not be such a bad year. We might, maybe lose a couple steps here and there, but we still got the skip cadence. We can move along a little bit. But hey, that was the Bears, and the Bears do suck. And I think it kind of skewed our expectations and kind of kept that bar up a little higher than we all knew it should be. And now I think are having a hard time bringing that bar a little lower, Ren, and putting it where we probably know it should belong, and knowing that our brains say, yeah, we know that they were going to struggle, but our emotions are overriding that and saying, well, we see sparks, we see all these different playmakers on the team that we know should be good, but we're having a hard time, letting go of the expectation factor and letting this team just develop and coalesce on its own. Now, there are problems across the board with this team, specifically on offense. I don't think it's all on Jordan. He has his problems, but the criticism is kind of equal to all of the issues that they have. Everything you can criticize Jordan for is relevant and worthy, but they're those same type and equal criticisms can be applied to different issues on the offense. The offensive line assignments, even run blocking at times. The wide receivers running their correct routes, pass catchers making a play instead of just expecting production, and then play calling and coaching. Like, this team looks unprepared. They look undercoached. They look aimless at times, and I think the last few weeks is actually what this team is right now. They can't seem to execute all the time. You're getting this kind of like coin flip every play. Like, can they do it? Can they not? I don't know. And you look at these plays that they can't do, and you're just shaking your head, and you're wondering, how did that even get to be the call played? And you look around, and there's always 1, 2, maybe 3 guys missing their assignments, or they're just not following through, or players doing things that aren't correct. And so, either they're not executing or they're not being coached, but take your pick. It still leaves us in the same situation, and we're not producing. We're ending up in 3rd and longs, and the first 2 downs are crucial for us, especially. And when we fail at those, you put yourself in a position where you can't do 3rd and long, and you're putting Jordan in a spot where he's not going to be successful, and he's maybe trying to throw things that shouldn't be thrown and make it happen because. If some of those plays, some of those interceptions didn't happen in the Raider game, you're kind of thinking, wow, okay. He tried, it just didn't work out, but now we're getting on his case because he threw some interceptions that were, some of them were bad, some of them were tipped, but we're looking at this offense thinking, how is this happening? But I think like that's like the critique Tay here. Like, I'm like frustrated, disappointed because you look at all these weapons that they have, and you say, why not? And I think from a positive Tay, I look at this team as, like I mentioned before, you got to lower that expectation bar and get rid of the Bear game. That doesn't count. And you lower that bar and you say, okay, where do you think this team is at? And you realize that this is probably what they're capable of, and you need to move forward. Is there problems with the coaching? Absolutely. I think they're not getting their teams prepared, and maybe they don't have the right players. Some of these players might be flashy and athletic, and they all have good RAS scores apparently, but maybe that's not what we need. We need maybe followers here of like direction and stuff. And I don't know. I think the jury's out, Ren. We both agree on LaFleur at this point. Whether, we all know where we're at with Joe Barry, but maybe Adam Stenovich, like question marks there. But I'm going to bounce back and just like say, I'm going to relax. I'm going to, not be happy with this team, but I'm going to let them play. Let's see what happens here. I'm not putting LaFleur on the hot seat. I'm not putting Jordan on the hot seat because he does miss some things, but he does some things right. And it's not all on him. We can't hyper focus on one dude that doesn't have the supporting cast. And you do need that whole entity to work right to be good. And Aaron got there. He was able to carry the team at some point, but early on in his career, he wasn't. It wasn't a one-trick pony. It was a team effort. So I look at that and I just say, relax. Let's just still have some fun with this. Enjoy your Packers, but realize that you got to push that bar down and don't get so upset. It's not all about Jordan. And so I guess I honestly, do you really believe that it is Jordan? And are you hard on him? Or are you harder on him than you should be?
I think the answer to that is twofold. A little bit, yes, in the sense that he's been in the system for a number of years. So there's less of an excuse.
Could be the Aaron system that he came out of, though. You never know.
Well, it's the Aaron system. This is supposed to be Matt's team today. This is a guy who's been there. This is a guy who has been lauded, by guys like Devondre Campbell last year. Hey, we see him in practice. This guy's better than a lot of starting quarterbacks in the NFL. His words. You see the big comp over the last 2 weeks. And again, I said it was going to be a talking point. Of course, it has been. But guys like C.J. Stroud down in Houston, brand new coaching staff. You know, a lot of young guys like Tank Dell down there, young running backs, young things. You know, CJ Stroud's playing some pretty damn good football. He's a rookie.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
He didn't have 3 years in the system. Jordan Love does. He sat behind a Hall of Famer, and he's regressed over the last few weeks. I mean, we're talking about a guy whose passer rating over the last 3 games is 66.4, 69.9, and 32.2 today. And that 32.2 is against one of the worst teams in the NFL, and that'd be the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, Jordan certainly has been in places that aren't the best for him. Some of that is, they call him the baby pack. There's a lot of skill position guys that are not running good routes. Certainly the offensive line has not been what we thought it would be and advertised coming into the season. They are not a run blocking team at all. They're maybe mediocre pass blocking at this point with so many changes in the personnel piece through 5 weeks of the season. It's a concern, but at the same time, again, a guy who's had time there to do things, and his completion percentage is one of the worst, if not the worst, in many statistics throughout the league. It's not good, Tay. Yeah, sure, on third down, he's 65%. On first down, he's 64%. Weird thing, on second down, he's like 45%. Now, there's a lot of different things working with this. They've been dealing with injuries. Again, they're dealing with young personnel. It's a growing process when we talk about, these young players. But he's got to, when you have been there 3 years, you got to make better decisions. You have to put the ball in places that it can be caught. He's missing some things that he should hit. And listen, 2 weeks ago against the Raiders on Monday night, he was bad. He was just bad. He threw all 3 of those interceptions were on him. Wasn't like, that was it was a ball out in front of a guy, his wide receiver gets it, tips it, and it goes back to a guy on the backside. Now, all of them could have been avoided. They're bad decisions by a guy trying to force the ball and make something happen. You do want to have a little bit of that, moxie with your quarterback, that he's not afraid to try to get things done. But at the same time, you don't want it to be something where it just looks bad. And Jordan looked bad against the Raiders. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, we've got the next 4 weeks, Tay, against Denver coming up 3:25 Sunday afternoon. Then Minnesota minus Jay Jets. That'd be Justin Jefferson. The Rams, who are okay, but they're going to be in Green Bay, mind you. And then the Steelers. Where will this team be in 4 weeks? What will they do against 4 opponents they can beat? And do I expect them to beat all of them? No, I don't. And I really don't know what's coming, to be honest. And I don't know what to believe and think this team can do week to week based on what I've seen over the last 3 weeks. But they have 4 winnable games. A lot of things I think will be a lot clearer once we get through that stretch.
Yeah.
And this Denver team we're going to get into in a minute is really, really bad. But I don't think the Packers are that far behind them. So it'll be really interesting coming up Sunday to see, hey, we had a week off. We know Denver played, against the Chiefs on Thursday night. So they've had some good time off as well. And they want to prove themselves. They hear all the talk, and it's not good in Denver, man. Denver media is ready to bury this team. They want Russell Wilson out of town. They don't like the fact that they wasted those picks on Sean Payton.
Yeah.
They want this whole thing just nuclear. They want to just burn it to the ground. And honestly, I don't blame them. Why wouldn't you? Because they made the absolute wrong choice with Russell Wilson. And that was their 1B decision after they couldn't get Aaron Rodgers that year. Obviously, it was a big reason that Nathaniel Hackett was out there. There was a good chance that Aaron Rodgers is going to end up in Denver, and it didn't happen. But that's a long time ago now, and now they're looking not in the rear view mirror, but they're looking forward, and they're saying, "Hey, how can we somewhere that gets us pointed in the right direction that we can be a competitive football team in the next 3 years and get this franchise, a once proud franchise, let's be honest, with aspirations to, number one, be in the playoffs. It's been a long time. And number two, competing in a division where they just lost their 16th straight game. 16
to
the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. Denver's peculiar. I don't ever want to be in their shoes or their cleats per se. I don't know what you do out there. I don't know what you want if you're a fan. I mean, I know they want to, just burn the field down and start over, but man, sometimes that doesn't work either, and like you struggle, and sometimes you come out of that and you bounce back pretty quick. But I think regardless, you're going to run into some problems and some development time. So I don't know if Denver got their wish, would they be any better? Honestly, I don't think so. But who knows? But that's a tough decision to be, or place to be in. And it's one that the Packers probably will never find themselves in, which is why I love the Packers.
I disagree.
They're not going to sell the farm, man, to bring in somebody or people to try to win them games. They're going to build from the ground up. If Jordan doesn't work out, they're going to. I don't see them bringing in somebody, some vet that's going to just woo the fans and be the savior. I think they draft somebody. I just think they go the long development route on that one.
Okay, but do you not remember something I said? I think it was, we were talking about dead time, like June. This thing could look a lot different come 2025 because we know the meddler's out. He's going to age out in 2025. And the way this thing is going, if they don't get things done, and I think the whole offense, not Joe Barry, but Matt LaFleur is going to get a pass. So will Jordan Love for next year. But if it doesn't work out, Tay, you could be talking whole new quarterback, whole new coach, and 100% whole new president when I believe the new president will be Ed Policy moving forward, that this thing is going to potentially look massively different if it doesn't work out in 2025. That's exactly what I said. There's a good chance, Tay, the Packers may be pointing in that direction as well.
But why? I mean, why wouldn't it go though that way? Like, let's say we do fail this year, we don't do well. It's just a kind of a crap show. Next year, it's not that great either. Well, what? I don't know. We've got Jordan Love for 2 years. That makes sense. He's gone after that. Then and then we have a new president, and that's fine. That's to be expected, I think. So why wouldn't you want things to change after 2 years? But the Packers will give them the 2 years. I think this year is whatever it is going to be. Next year is a little more pressure on them, and then they start making moves. But this is a young team. I think we're. I don't see fans calling for people's heads except for Joe Barry, and I don't think it's gonna be like that unless we lose every game coming up. And I think you're right. The next 4 games are actually winnable. All of them are winnable. The Rams, maybe a little tough when they come into town. I think they're doing pretty well. But Denver, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, those are all winnable games if you can just get your ducks in a row. And you pray to the Almighty Maker, whatever that is to you, that they did something this this bye week. Sorry.
Hey, may I say?
Yeah.
Thank the Maker.
Thank the Maker. Yeah. If you're Anakin, thank Anakin out there, and that they did something this week, because it looks like amateur football out there. It does look like a JV NFL team right now, and if it didn't look so bad, I wouldn't be as disappointed. But sometimes it just looks terrible. I'm not faulting Jordan on a lot of this stuff. Do I think he's the man yet? No, I'm still waiting that out. But I'm not going to jump on the guy when everything else is crap around him. And hopefully, with Aaron Jones probably coming back this week, you get a playmaker that can, give a spark to this team to, get some offensive production, get some change up here. And maybe, I don't know, Ren, what would you tell Matt LaFleur to do right now? Like if you could sit down with Matt and Matt's like, Ren, hey Ren, what do I do with this team? What would you tell him?
I mean, right now, the two of us would be talking about our aesthetic manly game first and foremost.
Like, oh, your little beard cut there is like, a little thick.
How well do we manscape? I mean, we probably would have that in common. But that said, Tay, tongue in cheek, but I mean, Matt's got to be a little bit more run pass option with Jordan. He really does. I mean, where was it was that way with Aaron. Where is it now? You have a mobile quarterback. You have to have maybe a 1-2 read and then out. The guy can run. So if your first and second read aren't there and you have the option to cut a corner on the right or left-hand side, I think they have to be doing things like that. I mean, this is not Aaron Rodgers who couldn't move anymore. You have to utilize also the talent you have. So it just seems like Matt's offense has been really dialed back. And is it a Matt LaFleur thing? Is it because he feels like everybody there in that young offense, just including Jordan, by the way, again, who's been there many years, can't handle these assignments? Again, it's a concern. Like, why is that a problem? Why are you dumbing this down? Is it a LaFleur thing? Is it a Jordan Love thing? Is it all the young baby pack, skill position guys? I don't know, Ted, but it's a problem because they should have some of that stuff figured out. I heard John Runyon today talking about, this offense is going to be a lot more like your Dolphins here moving forward. Really?
Yeah, right.
JRJ, why is that? Because Matt got invigorated during the off week, and he's like, hey, my pseudo protege down there in Miami, Mike McDaniel, is running this thing a lot better, and man, I better take a page out of his book. Even if that's the case, shame on LaFleur, because are you that uninnovative that you have to lean on one of your pseudo proteges to like look for, something to build yourself back up?
Yeah,
that's not a great feeling there either. That's a concern, man. I don't know what's going on in Green Bay, but what I see is a lack of cohesiveness. I think that people like Stanovich should be an offensive line coach, not an offensive coordinator. Obviously, they don't have the right defensive coordinator in town. The wide receiver coach, maybe they could use a change there too. It just seems like this team has a lot of warts behind the scenes with this coaching staff. They need a lot of new feels, and I hope that Matt takes that, totally to heart in the offseason. It's like, man, next year's my year, man. I gotta get some new guys in here. We gotta reinvigorate this thing, because what they have, I think, from even a coaching standpoint, with a lot of these coach positions throughout the football team, are not great. And I think you're going to see a lot of the same as they move through the rest of the season. Even if they try to reinvent themselves, I think they're going to run into a lot of bumps on the road, because I just don't think they have the right people there.
Yeah. I think it's they haven't coalesced the way we thought they were going to be. You would think you'd get more out of this LaFleur offense over. This is the fourth year, right? And it's like, where is this? Like, even though you guys are young, still, like there's no reason why we should be questioning this. We should see it, and I don't know. It's just not there. So I guess that's why it's disappointing. But
I mean, think about it, Tay. Like, this guy was talked about as kind of one of these young offensive minds of the NFL, and again, Monday night 2 weeks ago, they're running, first down from the 4, even though it was a horse car that saved the game for them. Like, and they go A gap, B gap with Dillon on first and second down. That's not anything original. It's not anything good. Like, where are you, Matt LaFleur? You don't have anything dialed up here? Nothing? It should be interesting 3 downs in a row.
Yeah.
You got blase, and then try to get something done on 3rd down. That's like, we can do that with, when McCarthy got stale, we can do that with Lindy Infante in 1989. I mean, come on. You're supposed to be an innovative mind, and we're not seeing that right now.
Yeah, totally. I mean, literally, it's a coin flip what you're going to get every play. You might get a really good play call that is against the defense that they're not expecting, and they have offensive production. And then the other time you can be like, everyone's out of position, no one's doing their assignments, no, everyone's not playing through the play. You look at some of these guys just like almost like trotting around, and you're like, they're like, I don't know. It's got to be a coaching thing because the efforts on some of these guys are just it's awful. And yeah, I'll be super critical of Watson because I think we all need to be. I mean, he didn't play well in the Raiders game. He got all those balls thrown to him, and he felt like he was just expecting to get it. He didn't try for it. He didn't put the effort into taking those balls away from the defenders, putting himself in position. Until he proves that he's, in my mind, he's not WR1. I think the Raiders took WR1 out of the game. I think Dobbs, they blanketed him. I think they double teamed him and they removed him from the game, and it showed. And I think Dobbs, the teams treat Dobbs as our number one, and until Watson can do something with that, it will remain that way.
I 100% agree with you, Tay. I mean, I don't think outside of that little bit of a, mid to late season stretch last year, outside of being able to be really fast and run a deep route, I don't think that Christian Watson's offered anything. He didn't fight for that ball on that bad throw from Jordan. It was a bad throw, but he needs to fight for it.
Mm-hmm.
He's too young. He's too young not to. But he hasn't shown us anything, other than I'm really fast. Okay. Yeah. He's got, it's put up or shut up time for him too. I mean, you can't be like, oh, you're so skilled, and because you showed us for a 4-game stretch last year that you did all these great things. No, you got to come out and do it. You've been unavailable a lot of the time, and then when you are, you really haven't shown a lot other than your ability to be fast. I mean, you have to be able to do, if you want to be a complete receiver and be a deep threat. I mean, Jamar Chase, that's a deep threat that can do a lot of things. Tyreek Hill, that's a deep threat that can do a lot of things. Christian Watson, he's just deep threat that can't do any other thing. So it's not to say he won't be able to, but at this point, he hasn't shown us that he can. So no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that, Romeo Dobbs is a much better receiver at this point. And I think that guys like Jaden Reed and Devontae Wicks honestly have a better upside based on the other skills that they bring to the table.
Yeah.
And Christian is, to me, at this point, been shown to be pretty one-dimensional.
I think Jaden Reed is young still, and he's still working things out. But you can see if you watch film and the plays, you can see that he's trying and he wants the ball. He wants to be open. You can just tell he passes the eye test. Jaden Reed wants the ball, whether he's getting everything right all the time. No, but that dude, I think he wants it, and you can definitely see. So there's a lot of issues on the offense right now. I mean, AJ Dillon is still there running the ball in Aaron Jones's absence. Hopefully Aaron Jones comes back, and his hamstring is way better than it was 2 weeks ago. But we just let Patrick Taylor go. He just signed with the Patriots, the New England Patriots. So he's no longer with the team. I think you have Emmanuel Wilson still around. But that's and then we signed Robinson, the old Jaguar who
the fantasy football champ from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he got injured, and then I think he never went back. But they picked him up to the practice squad. No, not the practice squad. I think he's at
practice squad. He's on the he's on the urine squad. I mean T squad. He is there.
So who knows what that? But I don't know. Take that for what it is. It's just a guy coming in to take a place for backup. But you're not relying on Robinson to carry your rushing touches here. So hopefully that's
would
just
they
an
would
emergency.
they ever would they ever truly give a running back not named Dillon or Jones ample opportunity? Because again, Emmanuel Wilson, I mean, surely showed talent in preseason. They're like, nah, we're really not going to show him in any regular season game.
Psych. Yeah,
I understand that some players might not grasp the offense, entirely, but it's a running back.
Yeah,
guy gets handed the football and then gets to do something.
Yeah, tell him which gap to run in, and you're done.
Yeah, A gap, B gap, C gap, D gap. I mean, like, are you going inside or outside, right or left? Let it go and give the guy a shot because, I mean, based on other than A.J. Dillon having one good drive against the Raiders, it hasn't been good in weeks. And we always wonder, why don't they let things like that get a shot? I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, it's like Mike McCarthy with Aaron Jones early in his career. Why doesn't he run the guy? Just run the goddamn football. Give it to the young guy who has talent. Maybe he's good. Maybe he's not. Let's find out.
Yeah. So, it's a shallow position right now for sure, and there's not much to speak of. Hopefully, again, like I said, Jones comes back and it gets a little spark to that running game and the whole offense. To be honest with you, this week we got an injury report this week, Ren, and the only one that didn't really practice was Devondre Campbell. I don't know what his outlook looks like. It's obviously still not good. He didn't participate today, so don't look for Devondre. I don't even know what his timeline is.
Matt LaFleur said today, Tay, basically he's doubtful. He said, essentially, I'm gonna give him up to game time, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Here's my Matt LaFleur for you.
But you got Aaron Jones practicing. You got Jenkins practicing. Everyone else is kind of back. Even Stokes is practicing, limited participation. I don't know if that guy will go. But whatever, it doesn't matter as long as in Quay Walker, he's also participating limited. So hopefully we see these guys play because we do need our starters to play. Maybe that affects things. Maybe that can turn the tide here a little bit to our advantage. And you gotta hope so. So you gotta root for those guys to be playing on Sunday, and hopefully that is a big contribution into just the cohesiveness, even from the offense and defensive standpoint. Maybe Joe Barry needs everybody that he can to kind of make this defense work the way it's supposed to. Which no one has an idea what that is. So
I don't think Lawrence Taylor is coming back in his prime 25 years ago to help Joe Barry make this defense look better. I really don't. But hey, it's on to the Broncos, Tay. You want to talk more about the Packers' futility?
No.
From every angle, from I literally offense, defense, outside of Anders Carlson. Everything's been pretty bad all year. And again, the one guy that got the most flack, we're like, this team's going to be pretty solid.
Yeah, right.
But why don't we have Mason? And why?
Yeah, I know. I was like big question mark.
That's the only bright spot. Like,
who knew?
Everything else is just fall into the sides. Oh, God.
Well, let's giddy up. Let's get on this Bronco and let's see what we got here. I mean, the Packers in general are in the bottom half of any stat that you look at. So tell me about these Broncos, Ren.
Okay, this is a historically treacherous football team.
Are they saying that about us right now?
Well, I mean, we talked about a little bit of that with the Raiders. I mean,
yeah,
like it's a get right game between both teams. the Raiders a little bit better, but like I mentioned, I mean, half of the Denver sports media wants to just literally nuke this team into the ground. That's how bad they are. They don't mince words. They're like, they're complete garbage. Let's move on. Let's lose as many games as we can. Can we possibly get Caleb Williams?
Yeah,
we want to because we don't care. Literally. Some of them don't care if they have to take an $85 million dead cap next year on Russell Wilson just to get this thing moving forward. That's where it is in Denver today. Literally, it's incredible. It's a bad situation. That's the football team. Mine and yours are the Packers going to go play on Sunday at 3:25. They ranked 6th in penalties with 40 already, 7th in false starts, 17th in points per game, and last in points, total yards. So last in points, Tay, and total yards, and rushing yards, and passing yards allowed. So I just gave you 4 stats. They literally rank last, 32nd, Tay, in the NFL. It's not by a little bit. It's by a ton. Tay, this is a garbage, horrible football team. By the way, the Packers are coming off a bye and get to play. Okay? So that tells you, point one, where this thing is at. And if they lose, not only crying your beer, just, fold the season up. This Packer team is also on Broncos level. That's how bad they are. Obviously, Pat Surtain, Justin Simmons, their safeties are very good. Good guys that they'll lean on as they try to rebuild this thing. Guys that won't be on the trade block. But, hey, listen, the run game, Javonte Williams, a year removed from a serious injury, averaging nearly 5 a carry. They've got rookie free agent Jaleel McLaughlin, who's been pretty great on the run game as well. 29 carries, 190 yards, 6.6 a carry, and a touchdown this season. In the passing games, add another 58 yards. So they can run the football a little bit. We know the Packers can't stop the football on the ground so much, so that they'll definitely probably get a pretty heavy dose of that stuff. The Broncos did in their last meeting hold the Chiefs to 19 points. But they had 3 turnovers and 197 yards of total offense day with 95 total passing yards.
Yeah, I love that.
4 sacks. Russell Wilson in that 19-8 loss completed 13 for 22 for 95 yards and 2 interceptions. I mean, this guy is a shell of himself, Tim. I think he's 33, 32. Ugh. Like, we love this guy at Wisconsin. We loved him come out. I mean, I think Pete Carroll really definitely maximized the most out of Russell. And then when he started doing Mr. Unlimited weird stuff, I think Pete just said, "To hell with you, man. Get the hell out of town. I'm not dealing with this." I think Russell got too big of his britches out there. I do, man. But yeah, this 32nd ranked rush day is they allow 172 yards. That's their average rushing allowed per game.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
AJ Dillon's like, dude,
if I get half that, I'll be stoked.
Let's go. Those squads getting milky about that bad Broncos rush D. All time, little dope sheet. 7-6-1. The Packers are against Denver. Is that crazy, dude? They've only played 14 times.
Yeah,
all time.
It is
all time postseason. Sorry, Packer universe. 1-1. If you know, you know. San Diego Super Bowl 32. All time at Denver, regular season, 1-6. The Packers are not good in Denver, and Green Bay has won 4 of the last 5 matchups. Last meeting was September 22nd, 2019. The Packers won 27-16. This D-Day, they traded away Randy Gregory a couple weeks ago. They just released Frank Clark, who's going to go back to the Chiefs anyway. They, outside of the safeties I mentioned, that's pretty much it. They got a couple guys on the D line. Jonathan Cooper, he had six pressures on the edge last week. They have their end, Zach Allen. He had 5 pressures. And the other edge, Nick Benito, he had 4. So they're okay in that edge kind of up front room. But generally, Tay, that there's not a lot of talent on defense. They're kind of a joke, and like I said, in the Denver media, they're grateful they won an NBA championship last year because the Broncos are so far away from winning anything, much less one more regular season game this year, that, if the Packers lose this game today, let's be honest, over the next 3 games against winnable opponents, you can't expect them to win a whole lot. Hey, let's, pun intended, pack it in, Tay, and get a good draft pick.
Oh, you're already suggesting that. That's too early for me. It's too early.
If they were to lose.
If they were to lose, yeah.
I was trying to paint a picture.
Yeah, I know.
About how bad these Denver Broncos are, Tay.
You're like,
if they lose this football team, Tay, yeah, everybody should. There's just not a lot of ways you can paint that to make anything in Green Bay look good, Tay, because nothing looks good in Denver. And if you lose this team, you really shouldn't have a lot to find about yourself that looks good at it.
It's possible.
Sorry to say, man, but that'll be the case.
Yeah, I know, and it could be the way they lose it. That's always a factor to me, at least. I don't know about the rest of you, but
in this case, with this football team, it doesn't matter any way you lose it. It's bad.
I mean, and you can get down on Russell Wilson, even if you're a Broncos fan or not, but he's got better stats than Jordan Love right now. And yes, he's played one more game. He's played one more game. He's played 6 games. Jordan's played 5. The dude's got better stats than Jordan Love. So take that for what it's worth. The team as a whole, I guess you could probably decipher for that for yourself which one is worse. But they've won one game, Ren, and that was in Chicago, just like us. Week 1, we beat up on Chicago. They beat up on Chicago too. 31-28 they won. But that's it. They've lost to every other team they played. The Packers aren't good with wounded, cornered animals, so you never know what you're going to get. The Packers are that team, and they always do it to us, that if you underestimate the matchup, they're going to prove you wrong. So wow, look out, I guess. I don't know what to think of this. And you're completely right. This Broncos team is terrible. It's awful. So if they do lose, it's a big deal. This is going to be a big deal. So I guess look out. This is the chance for the Packers, though. We all know it. We all see it. And whether that means it's a trap game, yeah, it very well could be. But good teams will win in these situations, or at least decent teams win with decent confidence levels and execution levels, and that will tell us what the Packers are all about. They can go out there and win this game, and they should. I'm super torn about this, about what will actually take place, Ren. I'm gonna say this is a low scoring game. I'm thinking this is gonna be a 17-14 game. Or I'm saying 17-15 Packers win. I mean, I gotta say the Packers win. I can't see it any other way. And if I call the Packers losing this game, then that means I believe that they are in a downward spiral that they can't get out of.
Well, you mentioned their win against the Bears, and they did beat the Bears. By the way, the Bears were up by 21 at one point. This team had to struggle back into that game against an awful football team in the Bears.
Yeah.
Also, Jordan Love. First 2 weeks, we were like, okay, six touchdowns, 0 interceptions, taking care of the football, playing pretty well. The unfortunate part with what we've seen over the last 3 weeks is just Jordan's piece get worse and worse and worse. That's a concern. What I really am looking for is, in this matchup, Jordan Love to show us, hey, I'm moving back in the right direction, because the way this thing has been pointed is not good at all. That's what I need to see Sunday. And yes, they should win. I'm going to say 20-13, Tay. But is that going to be enough to make us think like, well, Jordan bounced back a little bit? I don't know. But the guy to watch over the next few weeks is Jordan Love. And this team is going to go where he's going to go, or not where he's going to go. again, there's a lot of good young guys in offense. They're not running great routes. The offensive line leaves a lot to be desired. May need some overhaul in the offseason with regard to the draft. But Jordan is the guy who has been there 3 years. He's there with the same head coach 3 years. Needs to show us, both those two, that this thing can be a little bit better with play calling, with just getting through read progressions better, and give us a little bit of confidence moving to Minnesota. You don't have to win every game, but you have to show some things week to week that, yeah, there are going to be some growing pains, but that the things are improving and that you can believe Jordan Love can be the guy.
Yeah, I agree. I think the needle needs to start pointing in the right direction, and this is the perfect opportunity for the Packers with a bad opponent, even if it's an away game, to prove it to themselves. I mean, that's what they have to do. Get some confidence, like run the playbook, execute to the highest possibility for everyone across the board. I mean, none of this like two guys doing their own thing, not doing anything, like missing assignments, not executing. Like, go get this one. Like, this is your job. Like, this could be the start of the next 5-6 years of your life being on a good team here. Like, that's what I want to tell these young players is this is your opportunity. Like, get going, like want it. And I want to see that on the field. I want to see that thirst, that hunger for a win here against a bad team. It doesn't matter who it is, but like, let's see that out of them. I want to see this action. I think you're right too. I think watching Jordan Love over the next 4 weeks is going to be very important. Does he, kind of hold it back and be more conservative and try not to make mistakes, the ones that he's made in the last 3 weeks, or not? So yeah, I think you're right. I think the Packers will follow on the path led by Jordan Love, but I still believe, and I think we both agree, it's not all his fault when things go south. But we definitely have to keep an eye on him. Well, Ren, I'm about exhausted for this episode. I've got nothing else to say. Do you got anything else to say about the Pack or the Broncos coming up?
Well, I think Denver can put on a good face, Tay. They know where they're headed. This Green Bay Packers team, Tay, they have an identity to choose and figure out. I think that's what we get to start seeing one way or the other as the rest of the season moves along. And that's what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for some positive vibes on that come Sunday in Denver.
Very well said. Thanks, everyone, for listening and supporting us by subscribing to the podcast. Tell a friend. We are out there almost every week, and we're not going away. Thanks, Ren, for joining me on the Comlink tonight. And join us next time on the Packer Universe podcast. Look for our first takeaway after the Bronco game this Sunday.
Tay, I always have a pleasure talking to you every week. Wouldn't choose not to do so. We got a really great guest coming up in a couple weeks, so Universal look forward to that. A little teaser there. But until episode 244, Tay, when we're talking about a win in Denver on the pup list.